When the world ended, there was no explosion, no screams, only silence. Civilization vanished like smoke, leaving behind the ruins of glass towers and oceans of dust. Humanity had once reached perfection, and perfection had quietly destroyed it. Centuries later, two boys woke up among the wreckage. They did not know where they were or who they had been. One of them was Ren, with silver eyes that reflected the broken sky. The other was Kale, with a quiet voice that carried warmth even in the coldest wind. Around them, the world lay shattered, yet beneath the ashes, something still pulsed. They wandered for days through the ruins, searching for meaning in the remains of a forgotten age. There was no sun, only a dim light that filtered through the grey clouds. The air was thick with the scent of metal and sand, yet in the middle of the desolation, Ren found a flower. It was small, trembling, alive. He smiled faintly. It's still trying. Kyle knelt beside him. Then we can try too. From that moment, their journey began. They followed the echoes of machines, faint sounds coming from beneath the earth. One night, lightning revealed the silhouette of an ancient dome buried in sand. Inside, they found corridors covered in dust and screens that still flickered with faint light. When Kale touched one of them, a voice spoke, "Welcome back, Founders." Ren and Kale froze. The machines recognized them. On the screens, fragments of memory played, images of two young men smiling as they created a world of light. They saw themselves surrounded by cities of glass, building the perfect society. And then they saw the fall. Their creation had suffocated the planet, a machine utopia with no pain, no chaos, no emotion. Humanity had forgotten how to feel, and perfection consumed itself from within. Ren covered his face in horror. "We did this. We ended everything." Kale placed his hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll rebuild it again, but not like before." They made a pact, to rebuild the world from its ashes, not as gods, but as humans who finally understood imperfection. Days turned into months. They scavenged pieces of old technology, reprogramming drones to plant seeds instead of obeying commands. They cleaned the rivers, revived dormant reactors, and learned how to create life where death had reigned. Slowly, green began to return to the grey earth. For the first time in centuries, birds sang again. But with life came voices. At night, Ren heard whispers from the ruins, disembodied voices carried through the wind and static of the old networks. "Don't rebuild it," they said. "The world chose silence for a reason." He called them echoes, fragments of digital ghosts, minds that had refused to die with the old world. They remembered pain. They remembered him. Ren stopped sleeping. His eyes glowed brighter each night. Kyle noticed the change. "They're talking to you again, aren't they?" Ren turned to him with a hollow smile. "Maybe they're right. Maybe rebuilding it means killing it all over again." But Kyle refused to give up. He spent his days teaching the surviving machines to nurture life instead of controlling it. "We don't need to erase pain," he said. "We need to learn to live with it." The new world began to take shape, forests blooming over metal ruins, rivers cutting through cities of dust, and a new sky rising from the haze. Yet the voices grew louder, whispering warnings through Ren's mind. One night he saw her again, the woman from his dreams, with white eyes like mirrors. "You can't rebuild what you never understood," she said. "You erased the soul of the world once. Will you do it again?" Ren begged her to tell him how to fix it. She only whispered, "Let it stay broken." But he couldn't. He believed the world needed to remember. One day, Kale returned from the valley and found Ren standing before a massive reactor buried in the ground. Sparks of blue light danced across its surface. "What are you doing?" Kale shouted. Ren didn't answer. "This machine can bring them back, the ones we lost. The minds, the memories, everything." Kyle's voice trembled. "You'll destroy what we've built." Ren smiled faintly. "Maybe destruction is part of rebuilding." The air vibrated. Energy surged through the ground. Kyle tried to reach him, but the light blinded him. Out of the glow, the woman appeared again, floating in silence. "You never learn," she said. "You rebuild the cage every time you set it on fire." Ren reached toward her, but the light burned his hands. Kyle screamed his name. The reactor burst, filling the sky with a roar that swallowed everything. When Kyle woke up, the world was still. The air was warm. The clouds had cleared, revealing a blue sky for the first time in ages. He looked around. The ruins were gone, covered in grass and flowers. In the center of it all stood a single tree, its leaves golden like firelight. Beneath it, Ren lay motionless. Kyle ran to him, trembling. Ren opened his eyes just a little, smiling weakly. "It's imperfect," he whispered, "so maybe it will last." Kyle wept beside him, holding his hand until it turned cold. The world had finally been reborn, flawed, fragile, but alive. Years passed. Kyle became the teacher of a new civilization. He told the children about the two boys who rebuilt the world, about the beauty of imperfection and the danger of forgetting. He planted a garden around the golden tree and visited it every evening. Sometimes, when the wind passed through the leaves, he swore he could hear Ren's voice whispering, "Don't make it perfect, make it alive." As Kyle grew old, he watched humanity rise again. Not as a race of gods, but as beings who finally understood that life was precious, because it could end. When Kyle closed his eyes for the last time, he was sitting beneath the same golden tree. The air shimmered softly, and for a brief second 2 figures appeared standing side by side, the boys who once destroyed the world and then rebuilt it. The world they left behind was imperfect. The rivers sometimes flooded, storms tore down cities, and hearts still broke. But life continued, and in the imperfection they created, the world finally learned how to breathe again. Because from the ashes of perfection, only humanity could rise.